Holy City Center Radio is episode 345, and I am your host, Christian Sanger. Today is Monday, February 24th, 2025. February almost done as we start the final week of the month, and it's a big one for me. Tomorrow, Tuesday, the 25th, is my birthday. Thank you. You can send presents to me via payments on PayPal, Venmo. Look, just send me payments. Your money is definitely good. I'll definitely take it. Thank you so much for everyone who will do that. I don't enjoy getting older. I won't lie. There's definitely some perks to, getting to adulthood, of course. But also, when you're a kid, you don't realize how good you have it. But yeah, certainly it's fun being an adult. You can, do your own thing and you're in charge of your own decisions and all that. That's all well and good. But after a while, you're like, can we maybe slow these down a little bit? And, all the things that you heard about when you were a kid, when you get to this age and this is what's going to happen and you're going to, they're all coming true. That's no fun. I don't enjoy that. So I don't mind the birthday coming around. Don't mind a little attention on myself, of course. And getting presents or whatever, but the process of aging, that's the thing that's not so fun. Celebration, sure, enjoy it, enjoy your day, but I don't have to keep aging, do I? But anyway, enough about me. I hope you all had an amazing weekend and have a great week ahead. If you are looking to stay up to date on all the news, of course, holycitycenter.com is the place to go. You can add /calendar to the end of that address to go to the events page and see everything that's coming up. And also, on the website, you can add your email address to get what I call the daily-ish gospel. I try to send it out. I aim for all 7 days a week, generally get closer to 5, which I'm sure that's more acceptable, the Monday to Friday deal. But it's an email blast. It's not very long, just the most recent stories, whether there's stuff I published or from other local media, for the bigger stories. It's a great way to stay up to date on the news. So please go ahead and subscribe to that if you haven't already. Oh, and to piggyback off that, with Twitter, going the way it has, where a lot of people are no longer using it for various reasons, although, of course, there's people who are on the platform that previously weren't. But I've heard people aren't, finding my links as much because they're not on there anymore. They moved to Blue Sky, and I have a Blue Sky account and I try to post on there, but it's too difficult to just keep it up. So this is the newsletter is a great way to make sure you're not missing any stories, that you might have seen me tweet out before. Seems like Facebook views are down too. Over the last year or so, in general, not just for me. So I'm sure a lot of people, I hear about people not using Facebook either. Actually, that movement's been going on for a while. So again, the email newsletter is a good way. If you don't follow me on the platforms where I normally share the links, and you did previously, that newsletter is a great way to make sure you're not missing the top stories. All right, enough selfish self-promotion, and let's get into the latest news. So, as you know, South Carolina is back in the business of killing people. I know that sounds dramatic, but I'm talking about, death row after the long battle having to do with not being able to get the drugs necessary for lethal injection for several years, I think. The state was able to do so. And those of you may not remember, they built into state law that an inmate had to choose between either the electric chair or lethal injection. And when they couldn't get lethal injection drugs, it was ruled, well, if they don't have the option to choose, you can't put anyone to death. And so for a while, executions in the state were paused. They wanted to kill inmates so badly that they brought back the firing squad. The legislature approved it. And now inmates had the choice of either the electric chair or firing squad. There was a choice back on the table, so they were ready to, get back to executing. And around that time, it was certainly challenged by people saying it's cruel and unusual punishment, etc. But they ended up being able to secure some of the lethal injection drugs with the help of what's called shield laws. Shield laws make it so that the companies who provide whatever is in the mixture that is used for lethal injection, those company names don't get out, because who would want to be associated with, hey, our drug helps kill people, even if it is, people that the rest of society may not care about. They don't want that. So, in any event, now all three options are on the table, and inmates who are on death row, now that they've started, I think there's been 2 executions in the state already, and the third is going to happen on March 7th, barring any sort of, stay or, pardon or anything like that, which I wouldn't bank on by any stretch. It's going to happen on March 7th, and for the first time in state history, the inmate chose the firing squad. And the reasoning is interesting, based on the statement that was released through his lawyers. So the condemned inmate's name is Brad Sigmund. Last week, I think it was Thursday or Friday, made the announcement that he chose to be executed by firing squad. And as I said, it's the first time in state history that this is going to happen, since they legalized this as an option back in 2021. So a statement was released through his lawyers, and basically they said that this choice is impossible for him to make, because he either had to do, lethal injection. If he didn't do lethal injection or the firing squad, he would have to, be sent to the electric chair, which, by the way, is very old. As the states, this is not like a thing that gets updated. And a lot of other states, have done away with this, saying it, it's cruel and unusual, and what happens to a person during that process. So they said they're not going to do that. And then, although a lot of people think lethal injection is, the more safe and humane way for someone to be executed, there's been some questions about that. And his lawyers, by the way, are petitioning to stop this execution, because they want to know, they think that the inmates deserve to know what drugs they're taking, so that their lawyers can be sure that this is, that can be studied. Basically, is this actually, like a humane way to do this? If you think there is a humane way to kill someone, and if not, this shouldn't be on the table. And the reason they're saying that is because what they claim, the last 2 men that were put to death in the state, they were subjected to what they called a prolonged death. I'm sorry, it's 3 men that have been executed since September in the state. Um, each of them remained alive for 20 minutes, from the injection to when they finally passed. The lawyers claim that at least one of the inmates required a second dose before his heart finally stopped, and he died with his lungs swollen with fluid. Now, this is what the lawyers are claiming. It sounds horrific. If that's exactly what happened. And so basically, from seeing that, they said our client doesn't want to die that way. And he certainly doesn't want to go to the electric chair. So he's going to, by default, basically saying that's why they chose firing squad. It's a dark topic, of course. And I know there are people out there who are like, well, people on death row, they're supposed to be there because they committed some of the worst and most heinous crimes. And sure, yeah, that usually is the case. And so it's hard to have sympathy for people who have done horrific things. And so I know it's a weird topic to talk about. And again, some people probably hear that and they go, who cares? Who cares about this guy? He probably deserves it. He's not going to suffer as much as, victims do, and things like that. But, there are people, myself included, who, I don't, my thoughts have evolved on this over the years. I don't support the death penalty. I'm not like a vocal advocate against it, because I think there's bigger battles out there, but it's not something I agree with. And yeah, judging by those, firing squad and electric chair sound barbaric to me. Both do. And lethal injection, I always thought was a more humane way, but we're learning that maybe that's not the case. So in any event, it's a first for the state. They haven't done it, obviously. So it'll be, I don't know what the word is, but we'll find out if this goes through on March 7th, how exactly the whole thing operates, and, what the result is. So Well, that's the latest there. I'll keep you updated on anything that may change, but as of now, that's what's going to be happening on March 7th. All right, let's change topics here a little bit. Although still somewhat of a sad story, it's a feel good one at the same time. You'll understand what I'm talking about in a moment. This is a story that the Post and Courier recently did. I definitely encourage you to visit the link in the show notes so you can get a much more detailed look at this film that I'm about to talk about and the person behind it. So there's a gentleman by the name of Tony Benya. Maybe it's Benya. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But he told his father that he was considering quitting filmmaking. He'd been doing it for 2 decades, just wasn't getting the traction, that he wanted, and thought, hey, you know what? Maybe this just isn't meant to be. And that same day, he received word that his first ever feature length film that he had directed had been accepted at the 2025 Sundance Film Festival. I mean, that's incredible. That same day. And for those who don't know, Sundance Film Festival, a lot of independent films or lower budget in terms of the studios that have made them, if there is even a studio behind it. This is like the preeminent film festival. If you get in there, that's a really a big accomplishment and can lead to your film getting a wider distribution. If it gets picked up by somebody. So congrats to him. The film is called Andre is an Idiot. Like I said, it is a documentary, and Bennett describes it as a film about a hilarious and irreverent man who has to learn what true vulnerability is through the process of sickness and death. So that's the sad part of this, is that it is a documentary about a gentleman who got stage 4 colon cancer. That was his diagnosis, and this isn't the point of the film. This isn't like a spoiler. Unfortunately, he did pass away, but the film is taking a look at him during that time. After the diagnosis, how he was dealing with it, what he was going through. So it's supposed to be one of those, like, yeah, it's sad, but also there's some hilarious takes and things that happen along the way. So I'm very interested to see it. It sounds like it would be very good, very moving. And I like when you have a topic that's sad and you can see some humor behind it, but still be moved by it and still appreciate the gravity of the situation. So it sounds like something I would enjoy. So in any event, the movie apparently was an audience favorite at Sundance. It was recognized for stellar editing in the U.S. documentary category, and they won the Audience Award and a Jonathan Oppenheim Editing Award because of all that. So that's, again, congratulations, amazing. It's an A24 Films production. It's a smaller studio, but because it is involved with that studio, the film is expected to be distributed, on a major streaming service. But so far, Bennett didn't know, where that would be. There's no details on that, but hopefully it will be released soon, and I'll certainly let you all know. So who is this gentleman? First of all, the filmmaker, he's lived in Charleston since 2014. He relocated here from San Francisco. And then here in the Holy City is where he met his friend and the subject of the documentary, Andre Ricciardi, I believe is how the last name is pronounced. And yes, he lived here in the Charleston area, and that's predominantly where this whole documentary takes place. Benya, the filmmaker, said in the future he hopes to do a screening at Head High Studio, which is in downtown Charleston. Again, if anything like that happens, I'll be sure to share. And as for Ricciardi, he did pass away after 3 years of filming had taken place. The film was then finished almost 4 years to the day. That Ricciardi initially called the filmmaker with the idea to make a comic film about him getting a stage 4 colon cancer diagnosis. So again, I'll keep you posted on anything that happens with that film, especially if it ends up streaming somewhere. All right, our last one, we're talking about another show. This one does not have a dark background to it. I haven't seen this show, though, so I don't know where it goes. It could end up being sad, but not on the level that last one was. So there's a new unscripted series, aka a reality TV series, that debuted back on February 13th on Amazon Prime Video. So if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you already have access to Prime Video. And this new reality show follows 6 teenage couples here in Charleston during their final summer before heading off to college. So these are kids that are in high school. One or both of them are going to go to college. And so they're navigating, how is this going to work? You get it. A lot of you listening probably went through this with your high school sweetheart when college came around. So that's what the basis of the show. You'll see them as they go through some of their milestones like prom, spring break, graduation, and then, of course, ultimately, what ends up happening as they head off to college. The show is called Sweethearts, and it's actually from the producers of Love is Blind and Married at First Sight. All 10 episodes are already streaming, so you can watch the entire series right now, or season. I don't know if there will be a season 2, but you can watch the entire season right now on Amazon Prime. And I have a trailer from the show on my website. If you go to holycitycenter.com, you'll see the Sweethearts post. If it has moved off the main page, just click on entertainment at the top and it'll be there. And you can watch the trailer for the show if you'd like. And of course, it's also streaming. So go ahead and enjoy if you would like to. That'll do it for this edition of Holy City Center Radio. I hope you have an amazing week ahead. Thank you to Lindsay Marie Collins with LMC Soundsystem for producing this and every episode of Holy City Center Radio. And thank you to Tyler Boone, whose music you hear in each and every show. If you have a chance, please rate and review, like, subscribe, whatever you can do for this podcast on the platform you're currently listening to it on. That would be a big help, and I really appreciate it. You can also go to patreon.com/holycitycenter to sign up to support the site, the podcast, and everything associated with it. And as always, on social media, sharing links, liking, retweets, reposts, all that good stuff also helps. So any interactions you can do online with Holy City Center on any of the social media platforms is a big help as well, and I greatly appreciate it. I'll be back with you later this week. I'm looking forward to it already, but until then, good night. Good luck.